tell us about the origins of Occupation and its follow-up, Occupation Rainfall.
Yeah. So this film is a sequel to a film I made in 2018, was released in 2018, called Occupation, which was an alien invasion of Australia, which came to me along the way of growing up. I always wanted to see an alien invasion film from my home country. Driving home, looking at lights in the sky, always interested me. During the process of editing that film, that was going to be a one and done. And then I decided that I had this idea of further characterization, jumping ahead 2 years and sort of seeing more of a war-torn storyline, sort of quasi-Terminator 2 and all these different sort of ideas I had in my head. So it got me really thinking and really excited to do the project. So I ended up, going to the producers and telling them that I'm going to write this massive story and we'll figure out how to do it later. But I really think it's the right way to go, and everyone ran with it.
It's always nice to be able to sort of change up the genre a little bit as well for the sequel. Like, obviously, it makes it more exciting for you as a creator, as a creative process as well.
Yeah, it always does make it more interesting to have. I got to have a bit more comedy in this film with Ken Jeong being in there, and I got to have a little bit more of an Indiana Jones storyline where they're going after a sort of a quest, and then there's another storyline which is sort of a bit more somber and a bit more sort of realistic with PTSD and sort of alien interrogations and all this kind of other stuff going on. So it was very interesting to sort of branch out different ideas.
You mentioned Ken Jeong there, and you obviously kind of opened up the cast as well. So you have people like Dan Ewing, who are obviously well known in Australia and worldwide as well. But how did you expand that cast? How did you come into contact with Ken Jeong, say?
Yeah, well, once I wrote it, we got great casting directors and great crew on board, even on the limited budget that we had. And they took the script out to a few people who I suggested that might be great for the roles, my sort of top 5 people. And Ken was one of them for that particular role, and he loved the script. We had a chat on the phone, and then he came over. It was a real whirlwind with him because we're an independent film. We could only have him for 3 days, so we had to shoot every single scene with Ken in 3 days, which was doable, but just super tight and just really sort of had to be stringent with the schedule. It was fun, and we all had a laugh, and some great stuff that was all ad-libbed kind of in the film, ended up in the film. So we had 13 different takes of different versions, which was fantastic.
And like we were talking earlier, it's an absolutely true independent film. You did so much work on this. I know some of the actors as well that have been in the film have all talked about there's probably very few directors in the world could have pulled off what you did, that you just worked so hard on it. Was it tiring? Did you enjoy the process of like probably working 20, 24 hours a day on this, sleeping when you could?
Yeah. And I had a daughter, and my wife had a daughter in between doing it as well. So that was another level on top. But yeah, look, it's true. Like I'm not one to blow smoke up my own, whatever. But it does take a lot, especially when you're producing and directing and writing. And I was the editor, and I was doing schedules, and but it's a team effort. Like everyone put in 100%. But yes, it was really super independent. The definition of independent. But I wanted to show the world that we could do it, and I think we have achieved what I set out to do. So yeah, I'm very proud.
As grueling as the process sounded, you do sound remarkably positive about it, and you said things about being like up schedules and stuff, which seems like it shouldn't have been the case, but it seemed like you really managed to make a well-oiled machine there and get ahead of things. So well done.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, look, I eat pressure for breakfast. I do sort of love it. I don't think you could do it if you didn't love it, because you could have just walked away at any point in time, which I've seen people do in the industry. They just get up and leave. It's hard, but I've been working on film sets all my life, really, doing costume department and art department, all these different things, and I've seen a lot of stuff, how to do it, how not to do it. And I've worked with a lot of great directors and great producers in the past, so it kind of took a challenge on myself to say, when people tell me you can't do things, I just don't buy it. So when people say you can't do that, I just say, well, I think I can. And again, not to put tickets on myself, but we were finishing some days where we were an hour ahead of the schedule, and crew were leaving early. So I've seen schedules that film where we're going 20 hours over time, or 13 hours over time, or whatever, and we're staying till the crack of dawn. And it was just great to sort of put the schedule down and say, I can do it, and we can do it this way. And people listened to me, and it worked.
And can I ask, for the people watching this who are looking to go see the film as part of Spook Screen, what would you say to them they can look forward to with this film?
I think you can look forward to a really action-packed thrill ride. I mean, that's how I set it up to be in the final stages of the edit. I had a lot to work with, luckily, and I think it's just just strap yourself in and enjoy the locations of Australia and some interesting banter with aliens and some philosophical questions, maybe without too much going political, and maybe see what happens in the future, and keep the franchise going.